Let's talk about food. We waste a lot of water, we flush it down toilets, we also waste a lot of food. I just published some research on this about 3 weeks ago. This is hot off the press. But there are estimates that for American food waste that at least 25% of edible food, at least 25%, probably 50% of American food is thrown away, lost on the farm, lost in the restaurant, lost in the grocery store, or lost at home. At the home, we throw about 200 kilograms, is 450 pounds or more, of food per household per year, just in the household. You know that jar of old pickles in the refrigerator? You probably throw that away eventually. That's about 1.5 pounds per day of food we throw away in the homes. Plus we throw away another 27 million tons or so of food from the commercial establishments, restaurants and grocery stores. Plus we lose a couple, 13 million tons or so from the farms. This is an incredible amount of food we throw away. At the same time, there's a significant amount of energy embedded in that U.S. food waste. About 2 quads or more of energy, about 2 quadrillion BT or 2 exajoules of energy is thrown away in that food each year. Is that a lot of energy? That's more energy than all the energy we get in a year from increased outer continental shelf production by a factor of 2 or more. If we start opening up the outer continental shelf today for drilling, which is a big policy debate we have, in 20 years, we might get a quad of energy per year, which is half what we throw away in our food every year in America today. It is less than the total energy from all the corn ethanol production in a year in the United States, which is less than a quad. We produce 10 billion gallons a year of corn ethanol, which means we turn a lot of soil into energy crops. We produce more ethanol than Brazil, significantly more. All that energy of corn ethanol, less than half of the energy embedded in the food we throw away. And reducing food waste is probably simpler than plowing up tens of millions of acres. The energy consumption by Switzerland for a year is 1.25 quads. And Switzerland is a reasonably populated, rich, consumptive country. And their energy consumption total is a fraction of what we throw away in food. And this is a moral dilemma because about 1 billion people suffer from chronic hunger today. About another 1 to 1.5 billion people are at risk of food scarcity. This is billions of people. This is a challenge. It would require 33 quads of energy to get food to those 1 billion people. A small fraction of what we consume in the United States in a year or what the world consumes in a year. We have an energy problem, but at the same time, we got enough energy. It's just in the wrong form, wrong place, allocated in ways that yield these strange kind of conclusions. So that's the challenge. So let me sum up by going through Texans compared to the rest of the world. If you look at my height, and we consider the stage 0, height off the stage is energy consumption. A global citizen or a Chinese person consumes energy from the floor to about the height of my knee. A British person consumes energy to the height of my hips. So a British person consumes twice as much energy as a Chinese person. An American consumes energy up to my head, twice as much as the British person, 4 times as much as the Chinese person. And a Texan would require one of you to stand on my shoulders, and it would be from the floor to your head, is what a Texan consumes in a year. A Texan consumes twice as much as an American, who consumes twice as much as a British person, who consumes twice as much as the average global citizen in the year. That's a factor of 8 difference from average to Texan. What happens, let's see if I go to the next slide. All right, what happens if the world decides to change its energy consumption? So this chart shows on the left today, or 2008, with 6.7 billion people in the world. In the far left is today's world consumption at 500 quads in the bottom left. Well, what if today the world consumed energy like the United Kingdom? Well, then our energy consumption would double to 1,000 quads. Or what if today the world decided to consume like Americans, and it would go up to 2 quads or so? Or what if today the world decides to consume energy like Texans, and it goes up to about 4,000 quads today? But it takes a while for those changes in energy consumption, so you have to factor in those decades in population growth. Let's say it's 11 billion people in 2050, which is a reasonable estimate. That means in 2050, if those 11 billion people consume like we do today, consumption will go up to about 800 quads. But if those people consume like British, it goes up to nearly 2,000 quads. Or like Americans, almost 4,000 quads. Or like Texans, over 6,000 quads of energy. So if you factor in the desire for the world to consume energy like Texans, and most people I know actually wish to increase their energy consumption for all the reasons you heard earlier, for economic development, for stability of government, or for societal gains, you name it. The world's desiring to increase more energy. If that world decides to consume energy like Texans, that means we have to find 12 times more energy than we have today. And I'll tell you right now, that's very difficult, because most of the conventional sources we're familiar with are getting harder to produce, deeper to reach in more complicated, riskier places. And so this is an overwhelming challenge for us if we all decide to be Texans tomorrow. And so the closing comment really is this disparity is very important context for us as we go through this conversation. Should the world increase its energy consumption to match Texas? And if so, could we? I mean, do we even have the resources available to do that with modern technologies and our assessments of geology? Or will the world want Texas to decrease its energy consumption per capita? And if so, would Texas care or want to? This is a very difficult question. Or even better, are there ways to achieve the benefits of Texas energy consumption, the wealth, the independence, the clean water, without the downsides, which is the amount of consumption, the air pollution, the carbon emissions? That's the answer. We just don't know what that answer is comprised of, and that's why we're here today. Thank you very much.